Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us all over the world. We are starting with the webinar. So, welcome to the webinar where we are talking about common pitfalls to avoid while enhancing the 3D cloud experience in the AEC industry. And to go ahead with the webinar, we have our co-founder and CEO joining us, Varun Bhartiya. Varun has incorporated Encircle Tech with a mission to create an impact in 3D visualization software industry by developing cutting-edge solutions and providing delightful services to passionate innovators of the industry. With this, Varun, I request you to take up the stage and start the presentation, start the webinar.
Thank you, Amit. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, as per your respective time zones. I welcome you all to a session where I'll be presenting the learnings that I have collected from our experience while building many 3D cloud-based applications. As we all know that the market has shifted its trajectory towards a system which can assure an effective collaboration even remotely. This gave a way for the rise of web and cloud application in overall market, including construction industry. Before the onset of cloud application, cloud technology was able to contribute only 14 to 15% in productivity or 4 to 5% in cost saving. In today's world, cloud applications contribute almost 48 to 60% in productivity and about 27 to 38% in cost saving as per McKinsey report on reinventing construction. The role of cloud has expanded far beyond its traditional role. Now, the cloud-based application enable collaboration and contracting, design and engineering, procurement and supply chain management, on-site execution, and even capacity building and many more such use cases. Everyone has already accepted that work from home has become a new normal. Organizations are now looking to make sure that even while working remotely, efficiency and productivity do not take a hit. Hence, 3D cloud applications have become very critical for the construction industry. After developing 3D cloud applications for over for over probably 20 or more customers, we realized that there is a pattern and companies tend to make similar mistakes when adopting a 3D technology. Hence, I am here in front of all of you today to share these common issues faced when adopting a 3D technology and how to avoid them in the first place. While every CTO and the decision maker is doing their best when they choose the 3D technology, why is that companies still need to rework on 3D components few years down the line? The reason for the reason is some of these requirements are not very clear at the start of the project, or the companies underestimate the effort to support new features. So, what are these few such things which are realized only at a later stage? Let's take a look at few of them. Uh, I hope you can guess the first one. The biggest of these is performance issues. With more and more remote working, users are throwing even bigger and complex models at your system, and they are the first ones to crib about the performance. Increasing the performance of an existing system is not an easy task. The next one, if you can guess from the image, is wrong team for the job. Most of these viewers or 3D viewers that we work with are JavaScript based. But any JavaScript or TypeScript developer is not the best fit for 3D viewer development. It can become make or break if you use the 3D technology without utilizing its full potential. Only the people with 3D understanding can work and make the best use of such technology. The next one is real lot overhead of supporting the latest versions of either the CAD software and their multiple service packs, or new versions of browser and mobile browsers that are released every year. And sometimes it can become a challenge to even upgrade the version of the 3D technology that you use because you have gone through so much of custom development on the 3D technology. It just makes you drown in all the pending backlog items. The last is probably you sometimes try to add new features into a very complex or non-maintainable system. After a few years, we may see many systems where teams look like this, trying to add one additional feature in already overloaded system. So you need to choose the technology that already supports many features that you need and are really you really need to keep the system very, very clean for future development. So if there are all these problems, what is the best practice to evaluate and adopt the 3D technology in the right way? Next slide, please. Let's look at some best practices. And the first, as Simon said, start with why. Define why are we building the 3D application and how are users going to use it. I categorize the purpose in the following few buckets. Basic, a viewer primarily focused on as a viewer technology. It could be a basic viewer, advanced viewer. Second bucket is review and very data heavy operations. Third one is about configurators of various kind. And fourth is probably editors. We'll be talking about each of them in detail in coming slides. But while we define all of these purpose, it is also important to understand which parameters will affect the decision making. So some of these parameters, as you see in the list, are data. So what all data needs to be viewed and the accuracy. For example, geometry, metadata, model tree, even materials, color, textures, and so on. Input, output file formats. How is your data coming in and going out of the system? Performance requirements, performance of loading, performance of interaction, end user devices, thin client or thick client. Measurements, what kind of measurements are you going to do on the geometry or on the 3D model? How are you going to interact with the 3D model? Next slide, please. Visualization quality, what kind of visualization quality is important? Any concerns with the security? Of course, mobile viewing, and very importantly, the business model. How are you going to price it to your customers? Is it going to be per file, per user, session time? There are various business models, and the choice of your business model really depends on the predictability of the system. Can you predict the number of files, number of users, number of session times, or whatsoever? So now let's look at each of the aspects in detail and how it affects decision making in the context of 4 buckets that I talked about. So the first bucket is about viewer, an advanced or a basic viewer. I'm just quoting some examples so that you can correlate to the specific use cases. First case is viewers. You could have basic viewers to showcase components, share models, or even product companies want to showcase BIM objects, components, parts on a cloud platform. Now, important characteristics that really affect this bucket are visual quality. So these platforms are more focused on presentation of the model. Better visualization can help with better adoptions. Users are not being forced to come on most of these platforms. They like to browse things and they happen to visit it and they should really enjoy it. So visualization takes very high priority in such cases. Then new versions of the files are less common, but once the files are put on the platform, many users will want to view the file multiple times. Mobile support also adds to a lot of value in today's world. These platforms do not focus a lot on advanced workflows like annotation, measurements. Since the products are presented in specific way on these platforms, the data associated with the components can also be easily regulated. For smaller products like BIM objects, families, or manufacturing components, very high performance may not be required. But for large objects, if you're sharing or creating a repository of projects or buildings and so on, high performance is a must. If the data is put only by the platform provider, which happens in the case of like component or product manufacturers, the number of files and versions and even the file format in which the data will be uploaded is easily regulated or estimated. I'm just quoting on different priority parameters, and then we will be looking at each of these parameters and how they affect the decision making further in below slides. So the next category or bucket of the viewer type is review and data operations heavy viewers. Few examples of these kind are like facility management software, project management platforms, digital twin platforms. And I happen to know about one very interesting use case is they created a platform so that people can donate by adopting a panel, selecting a panel of the building and donate like a diamond donor program, which adopts a panel. It's hosted for US Olympic Museum. A very interesting use cases. So let's look at what are the important characteristics of such platform. These platforms do not need to edit the geometry, but they do a lot with the 3D models. So for example, user want to do measurements of various kinds, overlay data from sensors or facility management data, create RFI linked to specific entities, comment history associated with the components. High accuracy of data is required because a lot of engineering decisions are being made based on the collaboration on the cloud platform. Input output format can be regulated in some cases. In some cases, user might push you to support many file formats. If you are driving the process in-house, you do have some control on regulating the process, the formats. Since such platforms are focused on specific workflows, a very high quality 3D visualization may not be critical, but only exception to that is if you are focused on C-level executives and review by C-level executives, real-time rendering with high quality can provide a lot of benefits. We've seen some examples of this kind of things that are being developed, probably like Unity Reflect or so. Business model wise, the most preferred business model for users is per user pricing with no limit on number of files. And this could be one of the very important factors in 3D technology selection in such cases. We'll come to the details of that in a few slides below. One last point to cover here is security of the data is also very critical in such cases because large organizations are putting their very confidential data on the cloud. Next category of viewers is configurators. And as you can see from the image, basic example is home design and interior layout configurator. You could have tile configurator, floor plan layout configurator, BIM objects configurator, and configurators, basically configurators of various kinds. What are some typical characteristics of such platform? These platforms need to provide users with lots of templates and then allow users to customize various parameters of the design. It needs to update geometry and visualization quickly. Customization parameters could be only visual parameters or even geometry parameters as well. And when considering geometry editing, we need to evaluate excuse me, we need to evaluate if the editing of the geometry is better in 2D environment or more efficient in 3D environment. For example, if you're building a home configurator, editing the layout in 2D is convenient, and finally a 3D visualization is required for better experience. Visual quality, I believe, is important if it is end user centric. For example, like you're focused on home layout and furniture, Good quality visualization will definitely increase the chances of purchase. For some other component, the visual quality could be secondary. So finally, I think one more aspect to cover here is after the design is complete, we need to evaluate how the design will flow downstream, and hence the output format is critical. So in the example we've been discussing, after user has configured something, you may want to output it into an industry standard format like IFC. So your output needs to be supported. The 3D viewer technology should support such format downstream. And last interesting category of viewers is editors. I mean, the 3D technologies are editors of different kind. Plant process design, you could want to edit properties of files online, or even direct editing of layouts in the cloud. Here are some examples I think a lot of you know about. OnShape, there is Kudo, and few others. So let's look at typical characteristics of some of them. Since everyone is working remotely, this platform provide capability to create and edit files online. A lot of you must have heard about OnShape. You can practically do everything that you can do in desktop CAD. Aris Kudo AutoCAD Web offers you capability to edit DWG files online. Such engines do need to have very good geometry kernel running in the background. People need to be able to work with many controls and commands to do things on the cloud similar to what they do on desktop applications. Typically, some of them do need to support input output in specific formats so that when people complete their designs in the cloud, other collaborators can still work with the design in traditional desktop application. Some of these platforms can even add a lot of value with co-editing like Google Docs. Multiple people can work on the same design simultaneously. Visualization quality is not of the highest importance for such platforms, but it is one of the good features to have. So now that we have looked at different buckets and types of viewers, let's look at some of the parameters that we have identified for each of them in depth. So first one is about data. Data about model tree, geometry, properties of elements, materials, and textures. But to understand which 3D technology is best at providing accurate data, you need to understand what is the conversion technology behind. Let me start with pipeline first. Let's look at how the entire 3D viewing in the browser is happening and the pipeline. You have native file formats and you have converter. Some of these companies provide you converter on prem, or sometimes they are hosted on their own servers. And then once this native file format is passed through the converter, it creates a browser viewable file format. And finally, these files are loaded in 3D viewer. This conversion of file format to browser viewable file format does not guarantee 100% data conversion, although most of them do a good job at it. Each of the different file formats has a different converter. IFC converter, Revit converters, and so on. The details we need to understand is that each converter is at a different stage of maturity and accuracy. The fine print in most cases is also if it is completely supported or partially supported. Most of them support geometry, but you need to ask if it supports tessellated geometry, parametric or BREP geometry or not. Does the viewable format capture parametric information and entities? Are the materials supported? Some do, some do not. So like this, there are many things to evaluate from the adoption standpoint. Geometry, metadata, model trees, even views, colors, textures, properties of elements, and probably even GUID, so that you can work a lot with such information. It is important to note that most of these toolkit providers, even if they provide you an on-prem version of it, they do not provide you much control on the converter. For example, if some capability is missing in the converter, you will still have to rely on the provider rather than being able to fix it on your own. So what is the best way? Best way is to create enough number of samples and examples covering all types of geometries and ensure that most of the data is getting supported before you adopt such a technology. Or alternatively, just plan for additional timeline for your go-to market plans. In continuation, I think the next important parameter we talked about is input-output format. I'm just listing very basic input-output format. There are 60, 70 different file formats in the industry that can be input-output for your system. And as we discussed, every 3D technology has different level of support for different file formats. But there are few other considerations with respect to file formats. If you want to support IFC file format, some applications or customers may demand that it not only supports the files, but it has to be industry certified. So there is a certifying body which can certify that your application supports industry standard IFC file formats and is fully compliant, and you may have to plan additional efforts for just the certification. If you end up choosing a technology which does not support, which is not certified with for the IFC conversion, you might take in a lot of efforts down the line to replace that technology. Another aspect is that not all file formats are supported in one 3D viewer. For example, if you want to consider, or you may need to develop a platform which has a combination of 3D BIM files, PDF files, point cloud files, all simultaneously in one place, then you may need to consider combining 3 different viewer technologies on the same platform. And architecture of such a system is going to be very, very crucial for the long-term stability and scalability. Otherwise, as you remember from the image, you will end up with a lot of mess and trying to plug every corner or issue down the line. BIM technology companies are not in very high number. And among that, those specializing in interoperability are really handful of companies. So it often happens many times that companies use the same technology on the back end to read specific file formats. If you understand which technology is used in the back end, then you can easily judge the accuracy of the file format. So you should definitely check with your technology provider what kind of converter technology is being used in the backend. You should also check how much would be the time lag when a new version of the file format is released. How long does it take for the conversion technology provider to catch up with the new file format? For example, if you're using Autodesk technologies, then Autodesk Revit file formats and the latest version might get supported faster as compared to few others. So all these affect your choice of technology selection at every point of time. The next that we talk about is performance. Performance is very difficult to estimate at the start. However, one thing that I would like to mention is that many companies develop a 3D viewer on top of plain WebGL open source components, but then spend a lot of time to improve the performance. This happens mainly with in-house developed viewers. In the long run, if you compare the cost of such development with the cost of licensing a technology and the opportunity cost of getting to market faster or later, you will realize that you are better off licensing a technology rather than building one your own. The successful implementation, there are few successful implementation when you start in-house, when the 3D viewers are not dealing with large files, they're more focused on configurators, because you are not configuring, or you can control the configurations and pre-estimate the configuration parameters required. This So in such cases, maybe working with such technologies could be a good choice. There are various kinds of performance optimization that need to be built to make it a high performance 3D viewer. Progressive loading, geometry buffering, different kinds of clipping. When you pay a good license fee, effectively you are paying for such features which are developed and stabilized over a long period of time. So what is the solution for application that need to work with very, very big models on very thin clients? What if I want to load like skyscrapers on a mobile device? Can we do that? Yes, there are technologies to do that as well. The answer is, it is called as server-side rendering. In simple terms, it is like a remote connection to a high performance server, which is loading a large model and streaming video to the thin client. So with server side rendering, you can load huge models on any device which can stream video with good performance. So why not go for such a technology by default? Because the infrastructure, the cloud cost of running such high config servers is going to be very high, and your users should be willing to pay that high cost for your 3D viewer. And of course, they need to have constant internet connection so that the videos can be streamed from the cloud. The next one that I want to talk about are secure related to measurements. So if you're going to do any measurements, or accuracy of measurements is very important. It is important to check if viewer loads measurable entities like edge, segments, points, and vertices apart from the tessellated geometry. This help you in a lot of snapping of points closer to the entities and making accurate measurements. Measurements are not accurate on tessellated geometry, but could be much more accurate on measurable entities. Next one. So next one is about visualization. If visualization quality is of prime importance, apart from out-of-the-box support for various visualization settings, it is important to check if the 3D technology provides you access to shaders or not. To get some of these great visualization, you may need to overload with a lot of shaders. And if you do not have access to be able to implement your own shaders, it could become difficult for better visualization. Next. Next one we want to talk about is security. So for any cloud application, basic security checks are absolutely necessary, and you should prepare your system for OWASP top 10 security risk. OWASP is Open Web Application Security Project. They list down various high risk or important security checks that need to be performed. However, let's look at some of these and how of these are critical for your choice of 3D technology. So if you remember the pipeline of the converter that I showed some time back, native file format, a converter, and then browser viewable file format, it is important to understand where are each of these components located. some viewing and conversion technology companies provide you the converter and viewers to be hosted on your platform, while some viewing technology providers have the converters hosted on their own server. So when they are hosted on their own server, the data is, at least for the process of conversion, going to their servers, and then you get back the converted file. See, practically, I'm of opinion that cloud is secure, and every company is implementing all the necessary protocols to make it as secure as possible. But sometimes it still becomes a pressing point with your customers that my data is going to a third-party server, which I have no control on. So, even if with some customers, you might be able to get away by ensuring that after the conversion, with certain additional implementation, you ensure that the content is deleted from the conversion server. Now, let's say even if you have the conversion server on your own premise or your own private cloud, you have the viewer on your premises and everything, but some customers still want that even the tessellated geometry that gets sent to the client device is a risk, and they don't want that tessellated geometry to be sent on client device because it can get reverse engineered. So is it possible to protect data which is that sensitive? Yes, I think the technology that we discuss, server-side rendering, can make that happen, because practically most client-side rendering technologies at least provide or send the tessellated geometry to the client device. But with server-side rendering, you are only sending the stream of video and not the actual geometry. So it becomes far more difficult to reverse engineer, far more difficult, not impossible, to reverse engineer a model from just the images. But of course, as you know, server-side rendering is very high cost. Next. So mobile viewing, there are two ways to implement mobile compatibility. In some cases, viewer is developed for the browser, and the same is used for mobile as browser-based viewer embedded in native application. In some other cases, there are different viewer technology for mobile and different for the browser. The advantage of such a technology is that it makes use of some additional capabilities from the device, especially if you are trying to implement augmented reality along with the 3D viewer. But the trade-off is that mobile technology and browser 3D technology generally do not go hand in hand or at par with each other. So there is always a catch-up game, or your users might see a different experience when they're accessing from browser or from the mobile. So additionally, you will also need teams supporting or implementing same set of features on mobile technology as well as browser-based technology. So do need to make choices accordingly. Last and very important one is going to be the business model. Till now, we've discussed pointers from perspective of technology selection, making a conscious choice about what kind of features are supported, and so on. Now we need to look at platform from business point of view to conclude on the kind of business model you would want to adopt to make the application success. You need to estimate usage pattern of the users. There are generally, I have seen 3 different business models popular in the industry. One is per file based pricing. So you do not pay based on the user access, but every time you load a new version of file or new file, you can charge to the customer. Then you can pay a lump sum license fee with or without royalty and unlimited usage. This is another kind of uh, business model or cost wise business model that the 3D technology providers quote you. And the last one is on the session time, or sometimes the server number of servers required. So if you use the server for X number of minutes, you are charged accordingly. You will need to evaluate which type of business model suits your need. For example, if you're working with a facility management kind of an application, the changes to the 3D model are less common. You are only changing the metadata on top of it. So per file based pricing could be very comfortable model for you, and the choice of 3D technology accordingly, versus the cases where end users might upload any number of files. So in that case, your estimation of cost may go out of control. If you go with the server side rendering, you may have to price customer based on the session time or number of servers required, as server side rendering can support only a limited number of concurrent users at a time. So this brings us towards the end of our webinar, and I acknowledge that I might not have given you specific answers about which 3D technology is better for your business. But the purpose of this webinar was to inform you about all the parameters and how they are important and affect decision making of the correct choice of 3D technology. I'm also providing you a short list of 3D technologies to consider. First one being Forge by Autodesk, Hoops Communicator from Techsoft, ODA Visualize, Scudo, few more, Unity for really good quality renderings, Unreal, likewise, some open source technology as well, 3.js. There are many more technologies to consider. Right choice of technology and the strategy is very key to your success, and we help our customer make the best choice and develop the best tools. If you want to know more, I'm happy to get onto one-to-one call and discuss pros and cons of various technologies for your specific application. So with that, I open the floor for question answer. So first question that I have is, what type of softwares we can use for 3D cloud-based experience or visualization? I think Hitesh have just answered that question. There are various technologies as I listed. Definitely you can make use of any of those if you take a look at all these parameters that I have just listed down. What is a typical timeline to actually integrate a 3D technology into existing platform? Very interesting questions. I can tell you that from all the customers that we have interacted with, for some we have integrated 3D technology in matter of 1 week, and for some, after integration, we have been enhancing and adding features and really building it to the next level from past 4 years. So it can span a lot. Definitely can talk more about the specific use case. So visualization of point cloud and BIM models together. So yes, it is a very developing thing. Lot of companies are requesting for it. I can tell you that Pottery Viewer is the best for viewing point clouds, and you may need to combine Pottery along with a BIM model viewer to look at BIM models and point cloud together. These are really good questions from the audience. I'm really excited with the questions. Can we create 3D Revit model viewer completely free? Yes, answer is possible. Yes, there are technologies which allow you to read and open Revit file formats and actually view the files on the cloud. There are, as like I said, uh, it's still a catch up game. Some types of and some types of data may get missed out, but um, you can view most of the data accurately as required. The best answer that I can give you is you need to focus on specific data that you want to view from the 3D Revit model. And if you know the specific data, it can be checked of the current status of how much it can open and visualize. Accordingly, you can go forward with that approach and actually start viewing 3D Revit files on the cloud. Eric, how about the question is, how about STL files? Yes, there are like numerous viewers for STL files. We've built many applications where people wanted to view STL files for 3D printing, even packing all such STL files together for 3D printing with all combinations. So among all probably STL files, relatively complexity wise, it is just the tessellated geometry. Only challenges with STL files are the actual tessellation count. But there are many solutions that really load large tessellation files. Even example or cases to consider here is, how do you compress such files when you are transferring over to the client devices? There are many compression techniques to make the loading faster as well. So yeah, so dental application, 20 MB files, I can look at it. There are certain compression tools from Google which do compress the file significantly. But 20 MB STL files is not a very challenging for viewing and performance. I believe it should be well supported. Okay. Forge rate, I think you can definitely go and check Forge website. It is constantly, I mean, it could be changing. It's not in my right place to quote it, but I can tell you generally the current model, you pay and buy certain cloud credits, and they have different utilization for different kinds of files. If you're converting AutoCAD file, there's a different conversion or pricing. If you're converting a Revit file, there is a different pricing. I think one more question that I'm getting is, what are the technologies should be used for Revit viewer? I think before I recommend a specific technology, I would really want to understand from your side what kind of data you want to visualize, and exactly the properties. I'm happy to get onto a session to answer specifically on your technologies required to be used. But I can at least suggest two different ways of viewing Revit files. Let me just be honest and correct that it's not completely free. You do need to pay for certain technology components that you are going to use for opening the Revit file and reading the content from it, and second, viewing that content. But it doesn't have to be very high cost for opening Revit files. Wow, that was a very engaging audience, I suppose. So thank you all. Thank you so much for your participation. It was a very wonderful session, and thank you for the good audience and good participation. I hope I was able to add some value and some good insights. I'm available for one-to-one calls. Please do reach out if you want to have any discussion on specific technologies and their pros and cons in the context of any application. With that, I think we can conclude today's session. Thank you again, everyone, for attending the session.